Analysts at Parthian Securities expect mixed market performance this week with a blend of bargain hunting and occasional profit taking as investors anticipate half-year earnings results. Chinazom Izuora, Senior Associate Investment Brokerage at Parthian Securities, joins me for more market updates. Chinazom, thank you so much. Pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the market is still awaiting half-year earnings, but in the meantime, let's talk about trading for this week. All-share index didn't do very well last week, but the market is still up year-to-date over 32-33%. So it would suggest that there's still good positive sentiment for the market overall. But talk to us about what you expect in terms of trading this week, what stocks are going to be on investors' radar.
All right. So far, I think we've seen more positive sentiment as we enter the month of July. That can be due to expectations for the half-year results. And of course, we've also seen a lot of activity in especially the financial services sector, especially those securities that pay an interim dividend, which is expected because with their half-year financials, when those come out, we're most likely going to see interim dividend declarations. It's good to note that in the month of July, so month to date, the DSI is up about 0.16%.
Okay, well, that's not bad. Let's talk about latest inflation data, because I know the market does, well, from time to time, pay attention to data. This time, inflation data for the month of June at 34.1%, up 24 basis points. And I always wonder how much attention is the market paying when we have this, sort of macroeconomic data coming into the market?
So it's very important to the equities market because we have what is called flight of capital. So with the inflation data, the consideration is the CBN going to continue to raise the MPR rate? And if they do, it then creates more incentive for people to move to the fixed income market. And with the higher interest rates, you're also considering the performance of the companies that are listed. If they are paying such high rates, what's that going to do to their profitability? And based on
and maybe
their
also
current
expansion plans,
yes,
for those who
even
have.
their dividend yield. So if you hold the securities, if you collect their dividends, if you trade them, the returns you're getting versus what's obtainable in the fixed income market, investors are then going to do that risk-reward trade-off.
Well, it would appear because we are still awaiting outcome from next week's meeting, Monday and Tuesday. But interpreting this latest data for the monetary authorities, what are your thoughts? Are they going to hike? The general consensus is for another hike, maybe not as aggressive as we saw the last time, but a hike nonetheless. But with this broad-based pressure, not just the headline inflation, core inflation is also up, food inflation is also up. What are your thoughts?
So the CBN governor made a good point that the CBN can only act within the powers it has. So what the CBN has at its discretion is the MPR. So even though the market might not like it, I suspect they're either going to do a slight hike or hold it, but most likely they're going to do a slight hike. Although, of course, the real sector is also saying all these hikes and nothing is happening.
So that monetary transmission is not as strong as it
the CBN governor made a good point. There are other issues. There's the security. There's insecurity. There's
impacting on the food side.
There's electricity. There's fuel. So there's other factors that are not within the CBN's control. They're going to do what is within their control, and we just need to hope the government agencies do what is within everyone's
purview to do. But yes. Although we have seen the CBN in terms of rates at the fixed income markets, pull back a bit because obviously continues to have implications for debt service. But if we do have a hike, that also impacts on rates at the fixed income market. Yes, and for the equities investors, it's better yields, a better deal, if you will, at the fixed income market. So would you be expecting a shift or? And I always ask this question, it would depend obviously on the type of investor, yes. Short or long-term investor.
So it would depend, and considering we've had the more massive hikes, the slight increases might not move them as much as those initial movements. And we know in February when that rates went up, we saw a massive movement.
Right.
But now with the incremental movements, we might not see quite a dramatic shift, but it's still a consideration at the back of investors' minds, and it plays a big part in them deciding what am I buying, what am I holding, how long am I holding it?
Absolutely. And in terms of, what investors will be buying this week, what are you seeing? What trend are you predicting for this week?
We continue to see a lot of activity in the financial services space. As of today, I think our top movers are GT, FCMB, Access. And I think we're going to continue seeing that. There's also been a massive jump in UCAP. So I expect to continue seeing participation in the financial services, and of course, people taking profit based on their entry prices.
Right. But what stocks do you like now?
Oh, I like the financial, the banks.
The banks,
yes,
obviously.
Banks.
But I always look at for those stocks that have taken a bit of a haircut in the last couple of weeks. Which names come to mind for you in terms of those that have a good re-entry point that could be a potential bargain for investors who want to go into those stocks?
Oh, that's a good question. We actually saw that massive haircut like March and April. And it's good to see a lot of those companies have come back up. So to not the levels they were,
okay.
We saw them in January and February, but they've gained slightly. So for example, a lot of this year, Access was trading at 17 levels, and it's currently at 19.
And you don't think that this is tied to, the broad sentiment around the recapitalization and expectations that earnings could be better?
There's so much going on, and it's now going to affect its security based on what they're choosing to do. So for instance, the companies that are doing public offers, investors might be looking at the market price and looking at the public offer price and saying which is a better buy for me, as opposed to people that have chosen to do a rights issue, and it's not everybody that is going to qualify for that. So investors are still going to be looking at the market price and saying, is this company fundamentally sound? Do I believe in their business? Should I buy it? Right. But once those public offers start hitting the market, people now start weighing the offer versus the market price. Right.
All right, we'll be keeping an eye on that. Thank you so much, Chinazom, for talking to us. It's a pleasure having you on the show. Chinazom Izuora, Senior Associate Investment Brokerage at Parthian Securities.